But I want to make sure that I'm answering all of your questions. So I like to keep it interactive. So if you do have a question, please let me know and we'll go from there. So in what I'm speaking about today, I'm going to be speaking primarily to undergraduate programs. So St. Mary's is a primarily undergraduate institution. If you're joining us today, I'm assuming that you're interested in undergraduate studies. When you are choosing an institution, there's a lot to choose from. If you have decided that you are going to come to Canada, first of all, that's an amazing choice. And something that I want to tell you when you kind of go through this process is that if you've already kind of set your hopes and your mind on Canada, that's an amazing decision. So I know it can be very overwhelming when you're looking at, places to go in the world, programs, accreditation, rankings. There's so many things that play into the decision. And one of the amazing things about Canada is that no matter where you go in the country, for the most part, you're going to be receiving a very high quality of education. Now, if you're Googling and you're going to the internet and you're looking, top ranked universities in Canada, education rankings in Canada, the system in Canada is a little bit different. So we don't have an official rankings system or rankings policy like you're going to see in some other countries. And that's because for the most part, we are regulated by the government. So if you're looking at public institutions in Canada, you're already A-okay. You're already off to a great start. And that, again, is because the government is overseeing all public institutions, which means the quality and the level of that education you're getting is consistent across the board, which is why so many students choose to come to Canada. And, again, you're going to get that level and quality of education. The programs in Canada are recognized globally. So if you come, you do your undergraduate degree, you're getting that certification, you're getting that credential, but it's recognized around the world. So if you decide that you want to stay in Canada, that's amazing. If you want to go back home or go elsewhere in the world, that credential is going to be recognized. Lots of great things to enjoy when you come to Canada. We have a very welcoming, friendly culture here, high quality of life, very diverse. We are a very fast growing country. Students love that when you obtain your Canadian study permit, you also obtain a work permit. So you can work while you are studying part-time, which is definitely a perk as well. I wish I could turn my computer and show you the weather today. I don't know if I can. I'll try. But we got some snow. No, I don't think you can see. It's too bright. But one of the things about Canada is you get to enjoy things that you may not have had the chance to experience before. So snow, you get to ski, snowboard, just try different activities. Where we are in Canada on the East Coast, we do have 4 distinct seasons. So I know that weather is a very important question and a factor that students take seriously. Am I going to be freezing for 8 months of the year? It really depends on where you go in the country. So as you can see on this map here, we are on the East Coast in the province of Nova Scotia, and the capital city of Nova Scotia is called Halifax, which is where St. Mary's University is located. We have one of the warmer winters in Canada. I use the term warm lightly because obviously we get snow, it does get cold, but because we are on the water, our weather tends to be regulated by the Gulf Stream. So we have some snow today, about 10 centimeters of snow, but we're expecting rain tomorrow. So we'll be seeing the green grass and the more mild temperatures again tomorrow. So where you go in the country, it can be very different. When you're kind of in the middle of Canada, more central or west, tends to get a little bit colder where the snow kind of sticks around. But when you're on the water, we tend to get more rain mixed in with the snow. So little overview of where we're at. I'm going to talk quickly about Halifax, Nova Scotia, which, as I mentioned, is the city that St. Mary's University is located in. Halifax is one of the fastest growing cities in Canada right now. So what that means for students is an abundance of opportunity. Halifax is a place that people want to be. People are seeing the potential and seeing kind of what we have to offer, which I think is great. I'm a little bit biased. I'm from here, but it is an amazing place, especially to be a student. There's about 50,000 students that come to Nova Scotia and Halifax every September to start their studies. And it's because we have a number of universities and colleges in our city. And we're actually the education capital of Canada because we have so many schools in kind of a smaller confined space. So if you're looking for a place to study and work and live for, the 4 years during your degree and potentially afterwards, and you want to be surrounded by like-minded individuals, young people, people from all over the world, with the access to opportunity while you're studying. And I highly recommend, looking into Halifax and learning a little bit more, which I'll share today. But of course, you can do some of your own research as well. So as you can see here, that little pin that just popped down, that is where the university is located in relativity to the downtown area of the city. So we are home to about 500,000 people. So we are still quite a smaller city on the scale of things. So it's not super overwhelming. You're not going to have that hustle bustle feel that you would have in a city of 5 million people. We are still very much laid back, very friendly, very welcoming, which again is a great place for students. Where our campus is located is we're nestled into what's called the South End. So it tends to be a little bit more quiet, but you're, again, a 15-minute walk to the downtown city center, which you can see a little bit here on the screen. We have a bus system and a ferry system. So as you can see, we are right on the water, which is a big part of our culture here in the city. So you might be waking up on a Saturday morning and deciding to walk down to the farmer's market. You might grab a coffee with some friends and walk along the boardwalk. So this boardwalk is the longest boardwalk in North America. It's filled with restaurants and shops and local entrepreneurs who have brought their visions to life, and it's just a really fun and lively place to be. So if you are looking for that really iconic university city, you're going to find that here in downtown Halifax. So now I will welcome you to the St. Mary's University campus. The way that this photo is angled, the downtown is kind of behind us, how you're looking at the screen. So sometimes people look and they say, wow, there's nothing there. It's because the downtown city is behind us. So you'll see there's green space up on the top right-hand side. That's actually called Point Pleasant Park. And that's a beautiful park where students go, people will go jogging, people will take their dogs, people will go and study. There's a little beach area. It's a really, really nice spot, and it's really cool and fun to have a little bit of nature super close to the campus in the heart of the city. So one of the things that you'll see here about the St. Mary's campus is the size and compactness of it. So it's not common to see a university in the heart of the city with so much greenery around and in such a tight-knit space. So our campus is located in one city block. So it's very easy to get around. It's very easy to get to your classes, meet your friends, go chat with your professors in between class, whatever it is, you can get from one side of campus to the other in about 10 minutes. So it's really nice, and it also helps with the vibe and the atmosphere on campus. It's very lively, very strong community feel, and school spirit is super high as well. So that's something that you will feel from the second that you get to campus. A few other things that kind of make St. Mary's stand out is our diversity. So we have one of the most, I should say, one of the largest international student populations on campus. So about 30% of our students are international, and every year between 110 and 120 different countries are represented. So this is not only important to what you're doing in the classroom, but also outside of the classroom. So, learning from people all around the world is such an incredible experience. It's one of the reasons that I chose to study at St. Mary's, because I wanted to learn from other people's experiences, other people's cultures. Being in a class of 30 students, you might, be in a group project with 4 other people. So there's 5 of you, you're all from a different country. Maybe you've all celebrated different holidays. You've all spoken different languages at home. You all have different, cultural traditions and experiences. And it's really fun to then kind of incorporate that into your daily life. So for international students, I think it shows that we have expertise in welcoming students from other countries. But for students like myself who grew up in Canada, grew up in Halifax, it allowed me to meet friends from all over the world, and it just adds that perspective that I think is really, really important for all students. So on the St. Mary's campus, and I'll talk a little bit about residents in a little later in the slides, but you can see on the back part of the screen, there's 2 taller buildings, and then there's a low-rise building in between. So those 3 buildings are our residences. So we do have housing on campus for students. And I definitely recommend, especially in your first year, living on campus. It's where you get to meet friends. It's where all of the action is, all the fun events, and you're only a few steps away from your classes, maybe your part-time job. It's really nice to kind of be able to get around quickly. And one thing I should have mentioned earlier that I didn't is most of our buildings are actually attached with tunnels and pedways. So you do not have to go outside for the most part if you don't want to. So maybe you wake up on a day like today where we had our first snowfall of the season, and maybe you're just not feeling like going outside and walking in the snow. It's all good. You can get to class fully inside. So that's definitely something I like to point out. One thing at St. Mary's that is very important to us, and I think as a student, it should be important in your search for where you decide to go, is experiential learning. And so if this is a new term for you, that is okay, but it's one that you might want to keep as you search for what might be next. So experiential learning is learning that's going to happen outside of the classroom. So of course, you're going to be coming to class, you will be listening to your professor in the traditional lecture style classroom in some cases. There is a very important piece of the learning cycle, I think, and that is being able to apply what you're learning in the classroom, what you're reading in the textbooks, and then actually being able to do it in real life before that's your job. So this comes in the form of research. There's research happening at St. Mary's in all of our faculties. Active research that is connecting us to the community beyond our campus. It's also research that is timely and important with what's happening in the world. So for example, we have students who are doing neuromarketing research. So neuromarketing is really the in-depth psychology behind why we make purchases. So why do we go to the store and buy the blue bag of chips and not the red bag of chips? So this research that's happening on campus, they've actually developed a robot that goes in and basically watches people's eyes while they're making purchasing decisions. So why did I pick the blue bag and not the red bag? Why are people drawn to this chocolate bar, not that chocolate bar? So our marketing students, our computing science students, our engineering students have all kind of worked on this project together to bring that research to life, to then go to marketing and business classes and say, this is what consumers are wanting. These are the trends that we're seeing in the real world. We have research that's taken place on campus where students and professors have developed contact lenses for people that are colorblind. So again, something that is a real life problem. It is affecting people and it's making change and making a product available to people that may not have been able to have access to otherwise, which I think is really cool. Co-op is where you get to do paid internships essentially in the field that you are studying. So co-op is really nice because it allows you to see what you'd be doing in that industry. So maybe you're studying finance and you've always had an interest in finance. You really like numbers. Maybe you kind of do a little bit of financial research on the side. You're kind of following trends, and that's awesome. And you think you might want a job in that field, and maybe you do. But sometimes you go do a co-op placement, and I personally think it's just as important to find out that you don't like something as finding out that you do like something. Because sometimes reading the theories in the book and seeing what people do in movies and TV and social media can actually be different than what you experience as an individual. So I think having these paid work terms in your field while you're a student is very valuable, because you can say, yes, I really like this, or maybe not so much. I might tweak, the trajectory of my classes or my program. And flexibility is something that you'll see is very important and very much part of the programs that we offer. Fieldwork is another way to get experience in your area before you graduate. And fieldwork is like a field trip. So it's where you get to go outside, again, of the classroom with your professors. It could be local, it could be global, and you, again, get to apply what you're learning in the class to a real world scenario. So in this photo, students are actually, it's called the Bay of Fundy. So where we're located is home to the world's highest tides. So when the tides go out, you're left with the ocean floor. So students are studying and testing and looking at, tidal power and restoration of our aquatic ecosystems, and a lot of really cool things that they're doing with their professors as part of their classes. So when we're looking at programs, what does St. Mary's offer? So as I mentioned, we're primarily undergraduate, so we're really focused on students who are doing their first degree after high school or secondary school. So we offer many, many programs in a variety of different faculties. So we have our Faculty of Arts, we have our Faculty of Science, we have our Sobey School of Business. The Sobey School of Business has just relaunched and revamped all of the programs within the within the school there. We have a School of the Environment, and we have an engineering program. So our engineering program is a collaborative degree. This means that you do the first 2 years at St. Mary's University, and in your third year, you transfer to the engineering campus, which is just a couple of blocks up the road from us, and that's where you start to specialize in your discipline. So whether, if that's civil, engineering, mechanical, industrial, whatever it is that you're interested in, you're not going to start your focus or your specialization until your third year. So within all of our programs, there is a lot of flexibility. So maybe you are a student who thinks, you really want to do something in science or business or arts or whatever. And then in your first semester, you change your mind. That's allowed. There's a lot of kind of movement and variety in the first year. And on a similar note, if you are a student who, maybe doesn't love math, and so you decide that you want to take something within the Faculty of Arts, there is opportunity for you to take classes from the science faculty, from the business school, from environment, and so on. So if you are a student that maybe has multiple interests, there's lots of opportunity for you to kind of pull and take programs from different courses from different areas, which is really nice. I'm just going to block this annotation here. Not everyone, I'm just, my Zoom updated, so I'm trying to go. All right. Great. So as I mentioned, the programs, again, very flexible, and with most of the areas that you see on the screen, there's the opportunity for those experiential learning opportunities. So that means, again, the co-op, so paid internships, the field studies, the research that's happening in all areas that you see on the screen. A few areas I'd like to point out, just so you're aware, kind of programs that are popular and growing. There's a few in every kind of faculty. So in science, we're very well known for our astrophysics program. We have one of the only astrophysics programs in the East Coast of Canada. Our students were the first to develop a social media controlled telescope, which is on the top of one of our residence buildings. So our computer science students helped with that. They had to write 100,000 lines of code in order to get that up and functioning, which is really, really neat. Computing science is a huge program at St. Mary's in the science faculty as well. We have a computing science and business administration program. So that's really popular and exciting for students that are interested in computer science, but also kind of want that business foundation and business background. So maybe you're not going to be, writing code every day or working with software every day, but you still want that knowledge and you're looking to kind of get into more of a business role. It's really nice, kind of a dual degree between business and computing science. For the Faculty of Arts, a few areas of popular interest to note would be our criminology program, law and ethics as well. So if you're a student who's interested in potentially moving forward and going into law, that is, those are a couple of great options. Global development studies is another one as well. We, within the Sobey School of Business, we are the only school in Canada to offer entrepreneurship through arts or through business. We have a strong focus on sustainability and ethical entrepreneurship within the Sobey School of Business. And as I mentioned, the Sobey School of Business, the entire program was just relaunched and revamped this year. So really, really exciting. And something too, I want to mention when you're looking at programs and you're thinking, maybe I'm not really sure what I want to study, or there's something that I'm interested in, but what can I do with that degree? I think now more than ever, it's important to remember that traditional jobs are changing. And so, we're having this conversation today and we're talking about programs and we're talking about, what students are doing. But when I was a student at St. Mary's, jobs, for example, in social media weren't really a thing. Like, no one was going to school to learn to, run social media accounts. Now, there's tons of people in marketing who are doing that as their job. So it's important to remember that you're learning transferable skills within any program that's going to help you with whatever is next. So you're deciding what you want to do. Maybe you want to be a lawyer. Maybe you want to be, a software developer. But there's going to be jobs that come out and are invented and that happen that we have no idea yet. So just because, you don't see something on the screen doesn't mean that you can't work towards having that as your future career, if that makes sense. I just like to point out that things change so quickly, and having those transferable skills and those soft skills that allow you to, be able to communicate and work with others. And then, of course, drawing on skills from areas that you're interested in is really important. And the way that we teach our classes, the way that we come out with new majors and new programs and new requirements is to keep up with the demand of what industry is looking for, what employers are looking for, and what the trends are with how the world is moving. So I think that's important to note. And if you don't know what you want to do, it's okay. Part of the 4 years in your undergraduate degree and program is deciding what it is that you like, seeing classes, taking classes that maybe you never had the opportunity to take before. So we can talk a little bit more in depth about programs in the Q&A. If anyone has more questions about specifics, I'm happy to chat. So of course, you're coming to university for the academic side, but it's really important to remember that there's a lot more involved than just going to class, taking notes, writing exams. We want to make sure that you're happy and healthy and having fun in all areas of your St. Mary's experience. So this comes in the form of supports, both academic and non-academic. We have a writing center, we have tutoring center, we have peer mentors. And so there's a lot of ways for you to get support if you are struggling academically. In terms of non-academic supports, we have our international center for international students. We have our counseling center. So if you're, having some time management issues, or you're missing home, or whatever it is, there's ways for you to get help and get support in those non-academic ways as well. Clubs, societies, athletics, getting involved with different areas of student life is a big part of the experience. You're going to meet people from all over the world. You're going to meet your best friends on campus. And so finding like-minded people that are interested in the same things that you are is also really important. And one of the best parts of the university experience, in my opinion, in my perspective. Welcome weeks is something I want to highlight. So this is kind of our orientation at the beginning of every intake and every semester. This is where you get to, make those initial connections with people. There's activities. We go on like a shopping trip. We make sure that you have everything that you need to get started in the first couple weeks of a new semester. So we kind of help you get everything organized and ready, and it's really, really fun. I know I mentioned residents, so there's a couple pics here of residents. We have one main like dining hall on campus, and the way that our meal plan system works is an unlimited kind of like a buffet style. So you go in, you kind of eat whatever you want for that meal, and you can come back as many times as you want throughout the day. There's also a variety of little outlets on campus if you want. We have a student pub, we have a Starbucks, we have a Tim Hortons, which is a very well-known Canadian coffee chain. We kind of have a little like food court set up in our student center. There's late night food delivery. So maybe you and some friends are watching a movie or playing video games on a Friday. You're hungry, you can call down and order food. They'll deliver it to the residents' desk. So that's quite convenient as well. And as I mentioned, residents, super fun. That's where you're gonna get to make friends. We have single rooms, double rooms, apartment style rooms as well. And so if you're somebody who, really likes to cook and wants to have access to a kitchen, that's an option for you too. Couple shots of athletics here. We do have a few different levels of athletics at St. Mary's. So we have our varsity athletics, which is kind of the most competitive and highest level of athletics within Canadian universities. We then have club sports. So that is, you still compete against other colleges and universities. It's just not at the level that varsity is. And then we have intramural and rec. So that's kind of for everybody, no matter what type or level of athlete you are. It's more for having fun, like getting social, staying active, and again, making friends and just having something else to add to what you're doing at campus. So there's a number of different sports for each kind of level of athletics. So like football, soccer, hockey, we have badminton, cheerleading, dance, rugby, volleyball, football, soccer, hockey. I think I mentioned all of those. Track as well. All right, so let's chat about requirements. So one thing to think about is if you're looking at this here and thinking, ooh, I don't necessarily fall into, the requirements that are needed. Every single application that comes to us here at St. Mary's, we look at individually. So if there's a requirement that you're missing or something like that, we're going to make sure that we connect with you and communicate that with you and let you know if there's options that you can kind of do to allow you to kind of have a pathway into the program you're looking for. So for example, if you're looking to apply to Bachelor of Arts, depending on the curriculum that you're studying, if you're doing your HSC, we are going to look for English and 4 additional academic subjects with grades of 60% and higher. That's our minimum admission requirement. So that will give us the opportunity to assess your application. Commerce is English, mathematics, and 3 additional academic subjects. For science, we look for English, mathematics, 1 science subject. So that can be biology, chemistry, physics, or computer science, and 2 additional academic subjects. And then for engineering, we look for English, mathematics, chemistry. We do like physics, but if you do not have physics, we can assess you with another science, and then 1 additional academic subject. So for whichever program you're looking at, again, if you are doing HSC, we're looking for grades of 60% and higher. And if you're doing O-level or A-level through a different curriculum, then we're looking for grades of A, B, and C. So we work with dozens of global curriculums. So if you're not taking O levels or A levels, or you're not doing your SSC, HSC, that's fine. We've got you covered. We have tons of different curriculums that we are able to assess. So when you apply to St. Mary's by March 1st, we are going to assess you for our Renewable Entrance Award. So Ali, I see your hands raised. Just 1 second, and I'll get to your question. So for scholarships, the way that it works, as I mentioned, you apply by March 1st. And anyone who applies by March 1st, when March 1st rolls around, we're going to look at your application automatically for our renewable entrance awards. So these are scholarships that range between $2,000 and $7,000 a year. And again, that's automatic. So all you have to do is apply. All you do is apply. We are going to assess you for that. You should know by the end of March if you're going to be receiving an entrance award, an entrance scholarship. In addition to that, March 1st is also the deadline for our additional awards. So this is one scholarship application, puts you in the running for all of our other scholarships. So some of these scholarships are renewable, some are non-renewable, some have an academic average requirement, some do not. They are all very, very different. What happens is you fill out the scholarship application. You're going to provide us with your personal statement, which is where you brag about yourself and tell us everything about you. There is a couple of reference letters required, as well as a resume. And then we are going to assess your application for all of the awards that you as an individual are eligible for. So we do not offer any full scholarships. But again, we have kind of the two different streams, two different types of scholarships. And some of them, again, can also be stacked together. So say you receive a renewable entrance scholarship and then an admission award, some of them can be stacked together, paired together to kind of make it a little bit more manageable for you. And again, March 1st is when you want to submit your documents by. For tuition, this is for a student who is studying commerce. So your tuition, this is for 10 classes, which is typically what students will take in 1 year. So you have your 10 classes, your tuition for 10 classes, your fees, which is your Canadian health and dental insurance. It's also your transit pass. So again, we have a ferry system, a bus system. You get access to that through the student fees. And then we have meals and accommodations. So this is for a student who is in a single room with unlimited meal plan. If you are in a double room, you have a different meal plan. Maybe you're in an apartment style residence. This figure can change. So this is kind of the most expensive option. I like to provide that because it's always nicer to see a lower amount than being told it's going to be something cheaper and then you're paying more. So the total for 1 year is about 40,000 Canadian dollars. All right. So that is a quick overview of St. Mary's University. I know that there are some questions in the chat, and Ali you had your hand up. So Ali, if you'd like to go ahead with your question, and then I can get to the ones in the chat.
Hey, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to confirm that the admission requirements stand out for the O levels only, right?
Sorry, here. Yes, so if you're just doing your O levels, that's fine, depending on the grades you have.
The commerce program requires that I have a mathematics.
Yes.
Do I have to have a mathematics in my A levels or my O levels?
It can be your O levels.
It can be my O levels, right?
Yes.
So I don't have to get it in like A levels.
Correct. So if most students are only going to be taking 3 A levels. So if you don't have a specific course in A level, like the English or the math, we can take, that's no problem. We'll just use your O level.
Okay, thanks so much. Also, I haven't given my IELTS yet, but I am planning to do so. So what will I have to do then?
Sorry, I'm just taking a drink. So is your school or your curriculum that you're studying, are you doing it through like Cambridge? Is it a British pattern or is it?
It is a British pattern.
British pattern? Okay, so for that, if you're doing British pattern and you're taking English O level or A level, we can waive the language requirement for admission. But like you said, you're going to be taking it anyway. And especially if you're doing SDS stream for the study permit, you'll have to have the IELTS. But if you're doing British pattern O or A level English and you receive a grade of C or higher, we can waive the English requirement for that.
Thank you. But also, what is the specific requirement for the entrance award? Specific requirement, like any grades or academic or co-curricular activities?
So the first one, like the renewable entrance scholarship ones or the admission awards? The first ones, the renewable entrance, those are going to be based solely on your grades. So again, when you apply before March 1st, we'll automatically assess you for those. Those are going to depend, it's a competitive pool. So typically students with an average of like B or higher or 80% or higher would be most likely to receive something from that pool of scholarship money. For the admission awards, which is the additional application with the student, the reference letters, the resume, and the personal statement, that is kind of a little bit of everything. So it could be academics, could be leadership involvement. It really depends on the scholarship that they're awarding for. So again, we're going to look at your application and assess you for all of the ones that you as an individual are eligible for. So in your personal statement, I recommend, telling us about any co-curricular activities you're involved in, any leadership involvement that you have, just anything that kind of makes you stand out as an individual is very helpful.
Also, sorry for disturbing again and again. We know that your applications are open now. So if we apply right now, when will we be confirmed about our entrance scholarships? Is there a specific date or a specific
Yeah,
timeline?
so March 1st is when we start the application, like the process for that. So for the entrance scholarships, we're April 1st is when we're hoping to have everyone informed if they're receiving an entrance scholarship. And then for the additional admission awards, since that one is, more than just merit-based and it takes into consideration your personal statement and your references and your resume and all of that. It's typically May when we are awarding those ones.
Thank you so much. Means a lot.
No problem at all. Thank you. I'm just going to go to the chat here. And so if anybody has other questions, please feel free to raise your hand or put them in the chat. Fasi says, what about psychology? Is it worth doing? Well, I actually took the psychology program myself here at St. Mary's. So with psychology, you can do that between in arts or science. The biggest difference between the two is the courses you're taking outside of psych. So the core courses within the psychology program are going to be the same, whether you're doing it through arts or through science. For me, I did arts because I was really interested in like global development studies, business, classes that weren't really science related. So I chose to go through the art stream. But if you're a student who's interested in like neuroscience, or maybe you want to move forward and going into more of a like a clinical or lab setting with psychology, then I might recommend doing the science stream. But again, it's totally up to you. Many of our psychology professors have won awards for their research and their published journals within the field. It's a really awesome program, and psychology is so important. I mean, there is such an emphasis on why we do what we do. Now, I think more than ever, there's so many things that are going on in the world that we have access to. And so I think that psychology, it only changes as we know more about people and individuals and why we do the things that we do. So I definitely recommend the psych program. I really enjoyed my experience at St. Mary's. And again, we have the research you can get involved with on campus. We also have the co-op opportunities, so paid internships within the field as well. Question about guidance on the timeline for the application review process. Absolutely. So when you apply, so right now we are accepting applications for May 2024, July 2024, and September 2024. So May and July are considered our spring and summer intakes. So they are condensed. So your semester is only going to be 6 weeks. So 6 weeks in May and then 6 weeks in July. You can only take 2 courses in each of those condensed semesters because, again, it's condensed. So instead of being in a class for 2 days a week, you're going to be in that class 4 days a week. So it's really individual on kind of if that type of start is going to work for you. May and July, it's great because you can come, you can get settled. Campus is a little bit more quiet, but it's a really nice way to kind of settle in and get a feel of the university, get a feel of the classes. So May, July, and then September. So those are the 3 intakes that we are accepting applications for at the moment. The other thing is when you apply, once we receive all of the documents that are required for your application, that is when the time starts of us assessing your application. So it takes about 2 to 4 weeks for us to assess your application. That is from the time that we receive all of the necessary documents that we need. So if we look at your application and we say, oh, okay, we don't have this transcript, we need that. We'll reach out to you, ask you for that, but the 2 to 4 weeks isn't going to start until we receive everything that we need. Hopefully that answers your question. If you have applied, maybe you haven't heard anything, please reach out to me and I can provide you with insight into your application. Okay, Mohammed, do we have undergrad courses in computing science, data science, cybersecurity, AI? Absolutely. So we do offer a 4-year program in computer science. Within that, kind of all that you've mentioned is encompassed. We don't have a specific major in any of those areas other than computer science. But data science, cybersecurity, AI, that's all kind of built into the 4-year computer science program. I'm going to pop in the chat here a link so that you can check for yourself all of the programs that we offer. Oh, sorry. I don't think that gave the link. Then if you're interested in applying, you can go to smu.ca/apply. Okay, Ali, I see you have another question. If you'd like to.
What are the exact admission requirements, such as predicted grades or my transcript, such as that O-levels grade? The exact admission requirements.
Yeah, so when you apply, we'll ask that you provide us with a transcript up to like current. So have you completed your O-levels or are you doing O-levels now?
I have done my O-levels and my AS level too. I am
Great.
in my AP level.
Great. So we would ask for your O-level results, your AS results. If you have predicted A-level results, that would be awesome. If you don't have predicted, then we would just need to know the courses you're taking in A-level, and we can likely make a decision based on your O-level and your AS results. It's going to depend on the courses.
So you guys don't require recommendation letters or A2 hope letters, such as that?
A what letter, sorry?
Recommendation letters from us.
Not for admission, no. So for admission, it's solely merit-based. So it's just going to be based on your grades. The recommendation letters and that type of thing comes into play for the scholarships, but not for admission. So for admission, we are just going to be looking at your results. So your HSC and SSC or your A-level and O-level. So if you are taking, for example, if you're looking at commerce, I see a question here about the requirements for O and A levels for commerce. We look for English, math, and 3 additional subjects. So we're going to look for English and math. If you have it at A level, we're going to try and take your A level. If you don't have it at A level, we're going to go down and take it from your O level. So it's essentially a combination of the O level and the A level scores. Again,
Also, I
sorry?
wanted to ask, sorry, I wanted to
Yeah,
ask that if I only have done my O levels, but I'm going for A2 level, I haven't
yeah.
given my AS level. If I'm going for composite, what would be required then for admissions?
So you have not written your, sorry, I thought you said you had written your AS.
No, I'm asking for a friend. If he has only done his O level but is going for A2 level as composite, he hasn't
Yeah,
given his AS level. He'll give all
that's
the
fine.
papers in A2 in
So then
many
they would
details.
apply with the O level and then give us either predicted A level results or a list of the A level exams they're going to be writing. Depending on the O level scores, we could potentially provide an acceptance letter based just on those and the list of A level courses. But again,
And,
it'll depend on what the grades are in the O level
mhm.
courses.
And the acceptance letter is just in, not an admission. It will be based on our result in August, right? Our final
So
result in.
yes, so when we provide a student with an acceptance letter, that acceptance letter is official in the sense that you can apply for your Canadian study permit. However, we do require students to provide us with their final results after they've written their exam. So whether that's their O levels, whether that's their HSC, whether they're doing another type of curriculum, we do require that final transcript. And if you had A's and now you have E's, then we may have to revoke the admission. You do have to maintain admissible status into the university. But in terms of that acceptance letter being valid for you to apply for your study permit and get that started, then it's an official letter.
I'm so sorry for asking so many questions.
No,
Uh,
that's what I'm
first of
here
all,
for.
first of all, I wanted to just confirm that I have my AS level with one A star and two Bs. So the
Mhm.
Canada requires four AS level. So will I still get an acceptance letter or an admission letter? Because I have given my full AS as one A star and two Bs. That
Mhm.
makes four AS level. So you will still be required by my A2 official result in August. Is that still required?
Uh, yes, we like to see it. If there's a couple of different scenarios. One thing for A levels, when you complete your A2, is that we do assess for transfer credit as well. So another reason that we like to see those results is so that we can, potentially provide you with transfer credit towards your degree. It means less classes that you would have to take as a part of your program at the university.
Thank you for asking my queries. Thank you so much, Nizal
No
Hafiz.
problem at all. No problem, no problem. Okay, so there's a couple questions here regarding the application deadlines. So you can check out the deadlines at the link I had provided, which is smu.ca/apply. But the deadline for May is February 15th. The deadline for July is April 15th, and the deadline for September is June 15th. There is a question about scholarships. How long do they last? Are they renewable for multiple years? Each scholarship is different. Some are renewable, some are non-renewable. When you receive your letter outlining the scholarship that you have been awarded, those details and parameters will be outlined in the letter. Some will also have, a GPA requirement. Some will say you have to be enrolled in a certain number of classes every semester. You may have a scholarship that's renewable for all 4 years. It may be only for 1 year. So each one is going to be different, but that will be outlined in the scholarship letter that you receive. Ebenezer, you have your hand up. If you'd like to go ahead, I can.
Okay, hello, good afternoon.
Hi.
Hello, Lindsay.
Hello, hello.
Good afternoon. So I wanted to ask about the application review process. Could you
Sure.
provide the timeline for the application review process?
Yes. So it's 2 to 4 weeks from the time we receive all of the required documents for admission. So depending
Okay,
on,
that's fantastic. Thank you.
yeah, no problem. Thank you. For commerce, what grades are required for O and A level
Also,
students?
I'm curious about the campus community. So I want to
What, sorry?
ask,
Sorry, Ebenezer, go ahead.
I said I'm curious about the campus community. So I wanted to
Yeah.
ask about the overall atmosphere, especially the campus community.
Yeah, like what life is
How is
like on
it?
campus?
How is the atmosphere, especially for international students?
Yeah, absolutely. So the vibe on campus is amazing, I think. Because we are
Yeah, sure.
a smaller school, so we're located in one city block. We have about 7,000 students. You're really going to feel that kind of exciting, lively experience. Because again, it's really compact. So it's very fun. The campus community is very active. There's always events happening. There's always students who are, all around studying or hanging out or chatting, whatever it is. So one of the things that's great about that kind of smaller vibe on campus is that you get to know a lot of people from all over the world. We are only a 10 to 15-minute walk to the downtown city center of Halifax. So one thing I really loved is you have this really strong community on campus, but then you can also walk, 10, 15 minutes and be in the heart of, the downtown area. So I loved kind of having both of those experiences. You ask about international students. We have students from all over the world who are studying at St. Mary's. And we are known for kind of the supports and the community that we have for international students. So I think that you'll find that you're meeting people from all over, you're meeting people who are going through similar experiences that you are, and that we do have the support for those individuals. So we have a international student center, which is dedicated solely to making sure that you are happy and healthy and having a great time. So, there's going to be challenges that are unique to students who are coming away from home. And that's something that's important to us. We want to make sure that you feel seen and heard and, like you are a valued member of our student community and that the problems or challenges you're facing are being dealt with. So I think that if you chat with our current international students, they'll be able to tell you that they have positive experience. As I mentioned, it's very welcoming at St. Mary's. It's very welcoming in Halifax. So I think that that's something that you'll feel when you get to the city. And I work with international students all day, every day, and they all tend to really have a great experience. Okay. So for requirements for A levels and O levels, we're looking for scores of A, B, and C. So if you are looking to apply for commerce, we're looking for English, mathematics, 3 other courses. We're going to look at the A level courses you're taking, the O level, and essentially say you're taking English in O level and you're taking English in A level. Which one are we going to take? Well, we're basically going to take the one with the higher grade. So if you have an A in O-level English, but you have a C you have an A in O-level English, but you have a C in A-level English, we would take your O-level English because that's a higher grade, which is going to make your overall average higher, which is what we want to look at when we're doing scholarships. So we're always kind of working in your favor. I know I want to make sure I have some time here for Farouk to chat about the study permit. So I will quickly go through the rest of these questions. Okay, a question here about IELTS and masters. So for masters, it's a little bit different. Each program is individual. So I'm going to write you on the side in a moment. Another agent saying Smu's acceptance rate is not good. They delay the process and fees stuck issues. Okay. I'm not sure what you mean by acceptance rate. Do you mean in terms of the people who apply aren't being accepted? So we do rolling admission. So our admission is not competitive. So that means if all of us on the call today meet the admission requirements, we would be provided a acceptance to the university. For us, we really only work with education concerns. So in terms of other agents, I can't speak to them because I don't think that we would have a relationship, like an official partnership with them. So for students in Pakistan, we do work with Farouk and Education Concern. And in terms of fees being stuck, do you mean through the bank? There's so many variables. Most students will pay via wire transfer. So that, of course, can sometimes take time depending on the bank that you're going through and kind of what's happening in that time frame. Typically about 2 weeks is what the bank transfer would take. So I'm not really sure kind of the details about that, but those are challenges I think that anybody would face in terms of timeline and having money being sent from one country to another. But yeah, we work with education concerns, so I wouldn't be able to speak to what the other agent is referring to. Okay, hopefully I've answered everyone's questions. I'm going to put my email in the chat here. So if anybody has something else they're concerned about, or they have a question or something they want to talk about a little bit more in depth, please feel free to send me an email. I can hand it over to you, Farouk, if you would like to chat about the SDS process. And again,
thank you very much. In fact, you covered today. You also covered SDS policy as well, but still, there are few points I'd like to tell us first.
Absolutely.
Dear students, you need to fulfill the basic and main requirements to apply under SDS policy. Number one, you must have IELTS, TOEFL, or PT before applying the visa. Number two, you should pay first year tuition fees in advance. And number three, which is the last, you will deposit 10,000 Canadian dollar in a Canadian bank under your own name. आपका अकाउंट खुलेगा कैनेडियन बैंक में, उसमें $10,000 जमा कराने हैं खाने पीने रहने के। तो अगर आप ये 3 रिक्वायरमेंट पूरी कर दें तो आप अंडर एसडीएस पॉलिसी वीजा अप्लाई कर रहे होंगे, इसमें विदाउट पेरेंट्स बैंक स्टेटमेंट एंड विदाउट एनी इंटरव्यू आपको 1 मंथ 1.5 मंथ सम टाइम 20 डेज के अंदर भी वीजा मिल सकता है। आपने जस्ट 3 रिक्वायरमेंट पूरी फुलफिल करनी है। बेशक आपका एजुकेशनल बैकग्राउंड IB है, A लेवल है या अमेरिकन सिस्टम है, SDS पॉलिसी के लिए IELTS जरूरी है। तो आपने वीजा पर्पस के लिए IELTS करना है या TOEFL करना है या PT करना है। ये तीनों टेस्ट में से कोई एक कर सकते हैं। और अली मर्दान, आपके you ask very good questions. I think you are applying. We have received your documents, and your few other friends also want to apply in St. Mary University. So you and your friends are most welcome. So 3 requirement fulfill करनी है, which is very easy to understand. Number 1, English test. Number 2, 1 year tuition fees. Number 3, 10,000 Canadian dollar आपने जमा कराना है कैनेडियन बैंक में अपने अकाउंट में, या आपके खाने पीने रहने के हैं। तो आप पाकिस्तान के किसी भी शहर से हैं, आप मुझे कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं, ईमेल कर सकते हैं, व्हाट्सएप कर सकते हैं। तो मेरा ऑफिस आपको फुल सपोर्ट करेगा विदाउट चार्जिंग एनी कंसल्टेंसी फीस और एनी सर्विस फीस। ओके, सो नाउ फील फ्री टू आस्क एनी।
So mean you are going to file our
That's all from
application
my
with
side.
free of cost?
Sorry, did you have a question? Okay, sorry about that.
Students, even you can ask question in Urdu.
Thank you everyone for joining. I have a few more minutes, so if anybody has any last minute questions, I'm happy to stick around.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for covering each and every aspect. And I hope for January and September you will have quality students from Pakistan.
Yes, thank you as always, Farouk. Mohammed, do you have a question?
Yeah, actually, I just would like to know this undergrad course is for how many years? It will be 3 years or 4 years?
Which course, sorry?
Actually, you're looking for computer science?
Yeah, so all of our programs are 4 years in length. So they're all a 4-year undergraduate degree. So, I mean, there is flexibility in how you take your classes. So essentially, all of our programs are 40 classes. So you have to take 40 classes in order to obtain your degree. Most students are taking 10 classes a year, but there is some, that would be if you're taking classes in September to December and then January to April. So some students might take classes in the summer, the spring and summer terms, if they want to kind of take more, get through their classes quicker. But then, there's many students who end up taking 5 years because they want to take classes. They want to be able to get involved in a lot of extracurricular and co-curricular things. So each individual is going to be different. But for the most part, the average is 4 years and it's 40 classes.
Oh, that's good. I have just recently completed my IELTS. I've scored overall 7, but some bands like falling between 6.5, and one is like. And overall, I have scored 7. So IELTS I have done already. Currently, I'm pursuing foundation after FSC. That will be finishing by August. And in the meantime, I'll be actually I have been working with the education concern on my IELTS classes. I've got very good support from them. And so then recently I appeared for the test and I completed the IELTS. So further I'll get for the admission through education concern, hopefully. And yeah, that's it. Today information, the session was really useful.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining, and I hope to see your application.
Get admission in software
Yeah,
engineering. Can we get admission in software engineering?
So for engineering, our engineering program is a collaborative degree. So you do the first 2 years at St. Mary's, and then you would transfer to the engineering campus, which is 2 blocks from us, and that's where you would go into your discipline. So if that's software, environmental, civil, whatever it is. So the way that you're put into your discipline is based on your GPA from the first 2 years. So your first 2 years are kind of a general engineering, kind of like the foundation principles. So also, you're going to be taking your calculus, physics, drawing and design, your tech. And then in your second year, you'll expand on that and apply to your discipline of choice. And then based on GPA is how you're put into that discipline. So software, whatever it is that you're interested in. So for admission to engineering, we look for English, math, chemistry, physics, if you have it. If you don't have physics, we can take biology instead, and then one additional subject. So we're looking at 5 subjects in total. If you're doing like a A-level, O-level, and you have like letter grades, we would look for scores of A, B, and C in those 5 subjects. If you're doing percentage, if you're doing like HSC or SSC, we would look for scores of 60% and higher.
Okay, thank you. Can we get a job easily during study?
Yeah, so when you're provided with, when you obtain your Canadian study permit, you also will receive a work permit just automatically. So you can work part-time, so up to 20 hours a week while you are studying. We have about 1,000 jobs on campus that are just for students. We are also right in the city of Halifax, so there's lots of places to work. So there's definitely no shortage of finding a part-time job while you're a student.
What types of jobs in campus?
What
For
types of
example,
jobs?
for example,
Yeah, so well, we have students who are like working at the gym, doing the front desk, like, giving people towels, scanning their student cards. We have students that work in our office, so in admissions, who are helping with like files and like filing transcripts or answering the phone. We have students who do campus tours. We have students who work in the student pub or like Starbucks. They work in the coffee shop or in the cafeteria. We have students in the library who are working in the library, at the help desk. There's tons of different jobs. There's TA jobs. So maybe, you're doing really well in a class and then your professor can hire you to like grade papers. We have students who work in the residence department. So you could be a residence advisor or residence assistant. So it's kind of like planning activities for the floor that you live on. We have a residence desk. It's 24/7. So we have students that are working there, like helping with things that need to be done at the residence desk. So there's kind of a variety, lots of different jobs. And when you kind of get to campus or when you're accepted, you can start looking at the job postings and kind of applying for the ones that you might be interested in working at.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, do we have any additional questions? Ebenezer.
Okay, so I wanted to ask about the admission deposit. Admission deposit after acceptance.
Yeah. So the admission deposit, so depending on if you are applying through SDS or not. So if you're not applying through SDS and you're just coming the regular stream, we have an admissions deposit or a confirmation deposit to kind of hold your seat in the program. And that is 3,000 Canadian dollars. That money is refundable if your study permit, of course, is not accepted. If you're applying through SDS Stream, and you would have to pay 1 full year tuition as your deposit. So I guess it just depends on how you're applying for your study permit. And again, if your study permit is not approved, whatever amount you're paying is going to be fully refunded to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining. I really appreciate you spending some of your time tonight with me. My email is in the chat, but I will put it in again. If anyone has questions, you can let me know, or you can connect with Farouk, and his team can guide you or connect you with us as well. I hope that I get to welcome some of you to the St. Mary's campus in the future, or we can connect again virtually if you have any other questions or concerns in the meantime.
Thank you very much. So nice of you.
Thank you very much. I hope everyone has a lovely evening.
Same to you. Thank you. So, dear students, I'm still available for 1 or 2 minutes. You can ask questions if you have any.
All right, I will head out
I
then.
think they have each and everything. Okay, have a nice time.
Okay. Take care, everyone.
Take care
Bye.
and see you again. Goodbye.
Sounds good.